Welcome Homeworthy. My name is Ruth McKeaney, and I'm sure you can tell we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in Driggs, Idaho, where Bob and I and the kids have our home away from home. And I'm so excited to show it to you. We're going to take you on a home tour of the house. And then hopefully before Bob and Audrey head up to the mountain to do some final skiing for the day, I hope we get to have a conversation with Bob about why we chose to buy a place here and what we do with it. And then we're gonna make some hot chocolate, some real homemade hot chocolate that you can have around the fire pit or inside when they finish skiing. And then at the end, I'm gonna show you some of my very favorite places in Jackson Hole. So come along, can't wait to show you. I'm Ruth McKeaney, and this year I'm inviting Homeworthy to join my family for all of our annual highlights at Hillside Farm, our 305-year-old farmhouse steeped in history and love. After decades of flipping houses, my husband Bob and I settled here where we raised our 5 children. And this year you'll join us for holiday gatherings and the upcoming wedding of our daughter, happening right here at Hillside, where we welcome your company as we share in the simple pleasures of life at home. I'll offer tips from my book, Hungry for Home, to help infuse your own home with moments of joy, filling home-cooked meals with flavor for the whole family, and of course decorating with amazing antique finds. So sit back and make yourself at home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
All right, welcome Homeworthy. I'm so happy I got Bob. So without Bob, nothing is possible. I say that very sincerely. Not only is he probably my biggest advocate and encourager when it comes to all thing home and design, but he makes it happen. So I'm excited that we get to have a conversation with him because he's wanting to hit the slopes.
There was about a foot of powder that has dropped over the last 24 hours, and I have a daughter who is itching to make a few runs in it today. So
yeah, they hit the slopes yesterday. They're going to go up for some final runs today, and but we're going to have a little bit of a conversation with you before you go.
The snow's not going anywhere.
The snow's not going anywhere. For those who don't know, I grew up out west. I grew up in Colorado. So, you know, many people love beaches, and I feel like the other people like lakes or they like mountains, and I am a mountain girl to the core. And it was so much fun that I married somebody who loved mountains and loved skiing as much as I did. So that's something that we have really cultivated in our kids since they were little. From basically birth, we were camping.
We would camp with the kids. We'd throw them in the Sprinter van and drive across country and stop at KOAs across, living on a shoestring budget. And
hike and camp. So our heart has always been to possibly do something out west and to provide a home away from home for our family and for other people. So how did Driggs come about? That's a whole nother story. We had been going to Park City for
15 years.
15 years. We had a lot of family that lived there. In fact, my mom is buried there. And so I'm gonna let you tell the story though, as to how we got here.
We're skiing for about 12, 15 years out in Park City, and the one year we show up and there's no snow. And all the kids are really bummed, and all of a sudden there's a nephew that comes running out of the back bedroom and says, Dad, there's snowstorm in southern Idaho. And so all of us dads, we did a little research and found out there was a big blizzard hitting southern Idaho. So we hopped in the car and we left our 5 wives and about 25 children back at the house. And we drove 5 hours to a place called Grand Targhee and skied in powder for 3 or 4 days. And it was just a great time. And so we come home on New Year's Eve thinking we're gonna be our wives are gonna be asking us how great of a time it was. We walk in the door and it looked like death run over. The stomach bug had hit all the wives and all the kids while we were gone. So coming home to greatness was actually coming home
tempered,
to that will never ever happen again.
Yeah, you're never leaving us ever again. But I think what it did was, I didn't even know where Idaho was on the map at the time. I mean, true confessions. But the boys said it was the best snow, the best resort because it was so family oriented. So at that point,
we said, I made that commitment to my wife that I won't do that again. So every year from that point on, for the last 12 years, we've been coming out to a place called Grand Targhee to come skiing. And every year we come out and rent a condo, a townhouse, or something like that. And as the kids got bigger, we obviously needed more space, and the townhomes don't fit our family size. And so we just decided, and we asked all of our kids and said, if we were to ever have a second home someplace, where would you like it? And they so quickly all said Driggs, Idaho, because the ski resort is family oriented, but just even this area is Yellowstone is close by. The Snake River for fly fishing is unbelievable. Just the hiking, we can continue what we did with our kids being young, is just going for long hikes. And so this area is just awesome.
And I think, the fun thing is Driggs is on the backside of the Grand Teton, which most people know the area of Jackson Hole. So Jackson Hole is just on the other side of the pass. So you fly into Jackson Hole or in Idaho Falls. So you get the benefit of Jackson Hole and its beauty and its shopping and its restaurants, but then you go over the pass and it's like time forgot this place. Funny story, we were on a plane coming back. I think it was after the first time we brought the kids skiing here. And we were on a plane and a woman said, so where did you all go skiing? And my kids were all young, really young at the time, and they were like, Grant, I don't even think they said Targhee, right? They just said, anyway. And the woman said, shh, don't tell anyone. It's the country's best kept secret. The snow here is always phenomenal.
They get over 600 inches of snow a year, so there's always great skiing.
Always great skiing, and there's never a wait in the lift line, which is so nice. And the pace of life here is really slow. So we can come out here in the winter or in the summer. We can go hiking, fly fishing, four-wheeling, snowmobiling. Yellowstone's right there. So that's why we chose, I think, to go ahead and have another place. So initially when I saw the house from the outside, it wouldn't be what I would call great curb appeal in terms of on the exterior. In fact, it's so deceptive because the inside is so much larger than it looks like from the outside. And yet when I walked in, it had exactly the elements that we were looking for. It was not decorated the way that we wanted it to be.
Unless you like gray.
Unless you like gray. Every single thing in the house, every rug, every piece of furniture, bedding, towel, everything was gray. So, we had to do a lot in terms of that, but on the inside, it had the big stone fireplace, it had the outdoor fire pit for the family, it had a hot tub after you finish skiing. And the bonus is that we watch a lot of family movies, and it has a movie theater, so we can all go into that.
Seats 10 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, and then it has a bunk room for all of our kids. So we're able to spread out for a while until our family grows even more. Welcome, Homeworthy. We are in the entryway of the house, and entryways are important, right? Because that's where people come in and it's their first view of your home. It took me a long time because when we first got this place, they had an indoor-outdoor carpet when you walked in. It was kind of gray. Like I said, everything was gray. So we got rid of that, and at a consignment shop in town, I found this fabulous vintage rug that I loved. So it was fun to put this in. It fit perfectly, and it really went with the color scheme that I was going for. I also found a raw-edged bench here that we put for people to, take off their boots, which is really nice because we have a separate place in the house as well if you come in from skiing, where everyone can sit down, your boots can go, there's a place to hang up the coats. So it's so nice that it's almost a little bit separate, all the ski stuff. So, but you walk through the house and you walk straight in to a view out the back of the house, which are these large windows, which is so beautiful. It just opens up the entire home. As you can see, the entryway opens right into the living space, which was important that there be a flow because actually it's the living room, dining room, and kitchen are all on this space. And in the home I have in Pennsylvania, each one of those things are separate rooms. So I had to think through thematically colors, textures, everything through here. And you may notice I have a little bit of the Christmas theme going, but It's a winter wonderland out here. It's very different than Pennsylvania. I think in Pennsylvania, my Christmas things are down immediately after Christmas, but here it feels like Christmas goes much longer than other places. So I wanted to bring a little of the live outside in and keep it up for a little while. So it just adds, again, color in this time when everything else is white. So what I did, originally there were these 2 gray club chairs. I actually moved them to a different place in the house. And I went and found these really fun fur chairs. I don't know if they're hide or fur, but they're just a lot of fun. I found this pelt at a consignment place, and I just threw it on a table that I also got at a consignment place. Again, layering and textures. Now, what was important to bring the entire space together was a rug. And I looked long and hard for a rug because I wanted it to be kind of southwestern, a western feel, and I finally found this one. And then at this fun consignment shop that I go to, I found this table that a gentleman makes, and he puts different hides on the top. So again, picking up some antlers, just bringing, you know, that western feel into the house. I love also this fireplace, this stone fireplace. Now this is a unique, I'm actually learning how to use it because it stays shut, but it actually heats the house. So it's a little different than an open fire. And right now we're in the middle of deciding whether we're going all gas logs or we're gonna keep it live logs. Here is one of my new favorite purchases, and it's this chair right here. It is so interesting and wonderful. And I had this pillow made. I went to a store right here, maybe 2 miles away, and chose some fabrics so that I could switch sides. And this is just for that time of year, a little red, and it goes a little bit with the carpet. Finally, because of the way the living room sits, this space isn't particularly long, but a love seat was too short. So it took me a while to find a couch that wasn't too long or too short. And again, had some pillows made through a great, blankets are huge. I have baskets all over the house with blankets. So just like in Pennsylvania, I collect blankets. So anytime you can throw a blanket in, over there I've got a gray blanket, here I've got this blanket, and you'll notice in the bedrooms, there's different blankets everywhere. So I think blankets are important. Here's another fun thing. Because skiing is such a big deal to our family, I looked all over town, and it's not hard to find when you're out west, to find antique skis. So we hung some antique skis here, some antique skis above right there, and then some antique snowshoes. It just makes you feel like you're in the West, in the mountains, and I don't know, I love it. I absolutely love it. I kind of wanted to figure out a way to create a space that if Ralph Lauren was my designer, maybe he would approve. One of the things I love in this room, first of all, it's got peaked ceilings, but are these beams that we've kept dark. It adds dimension, it adds interest, and I just love it. It just has a more rustic feel to it. But again, I love this room. It draws your eye out because when you look outside, there's a porch that has the same peak. And so it just extends your eye to one mountain range on this side and the Tetons right behind the house on this side. And directly in front, you've got meadows that in the spring and summer are just beautiful. The other thing I love about this space is it seats all of us, whether we're sitting on the hearth or on the couch or on the chairs, and it's game time, football time, movie time, while we cook in the kitchen. Everyone gets to be a part of everything. So this space, it's just near and dear, and you got the fire going. I mean, what more could you want on a mountain home?
So how did we stumble upon this house? Sometimes it's when you come up with an idea to buy a house, sometimes you have to be ready for something to happen very quickly.
Sight unseen.
Yes, and so once we contacted our realtor and said, hey, we're looking for a house, it was probably within a week, he says, I found a house for you and it will go very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so next thing you know, we're on a Zoom call with my wife's cousin, and who walks around the whole house showing it to us. And so we never even came out here, and we made an offer, and we're fortunate enough to get the house. One thing I love about it is, or I didn't know if I would love it in the beginning, was I have always tinkered with homes. I've always had, all of our house. I mean, our house is 300 years old. Our other homes that we've lived in are all over 100 years old.
150 years old, yeah.
And so there's always work to be done. Well, this house is only about 6 years old. And when the people that we bought it from left, they pretty much left everything in the home, even the tools. And so when we moved in, I actually had to buy a wrench from a store, and that actually, I felt inconvenienced.
That was the only thing you had to do.
That's all I had to buy. So, and this is a home I never realized how much rest is needed. We've been so busy with the 5 kids and flipping homes that I actually come out here and find myself able to rest, not looking to tinker on things, maybe even read a book.
I was going to say, even before we left town, 2 days ago, he said, I am committing to read a book in the next few weeks. So that's not something you ever do. Nobody sees Bob stop. And I think that's why I think my kids love it. There's games all the time. It's just quiet time, movie time. I can't wait to show you the house because the features are probably everything we would look for. And it's kind of been a dream come true until the next phase. I mean, we'd love to have a place that we could provide for families to have rest. So that's a dream that's kind of long ways out, and this is just one step in that direction. All right, we're going to go from the living room into the kitchen, and on the way I want to point out this hide that we're walking on. I love hides out west, and as you know, I even use them in my barn in Pennsylvania and even in my kitchen in Pennsylvania. So again, it's the layering, it's the different styles. You've got a vintage rug, you have a southwestern rug, you've got this, and it all works together. But here we have the dining room on your way to the kitchen. And this is one fantastic because everyone can seat there. And I know you probably remember from the barn at home in Pennsylvania, I got these these furs, and we put them on everything. It makes everything warm and cozy. I don't care where you're at. It just makes things, just ups it a little bit. So I'm gonna walk and show you this fantastic mirror. I have to tell you, we found this in a shop in town. It might weigh 1,000 pounds. I don't know how we hung it. Only Bob could have hung it, but it opens up the room because it reflects everything, and it just makes everything feel bigger. I think any mirror makes a room feel bigger, let alone something the size of this. So here we go. Let's head to the kitchen. Here's the kitchen, and what's interesting and fun about this kitchen is it's open to the rest of the house, so I get to participate in what everyone else is doing while I'm cooking. You know what's fun? We decided this year, I think because the kids are a little older and a couple are married, I've assigned every person a meal with a buddy during the entire time that we're here. So we put the oldest with the youngest, or we mixed a son and a daughter-in-law, and we just mixed everybody up. They get to choose what we're eating. They get to do all the grocery shopping, and then they get to make it. But when they're making it here, they're with everybody. So it's just gonna be a lot of fun to watch their creativity come to life. And that's why we're here. That's why we do this place. So this is the original kitchen when we bought it. So we haven't changed anything at this point. But one thing that I do love about it is the big window that looks out while I'm doing dishes. I do not have that at home. And when you look out, I mean, who doesn't love a view like that? And it changes literally daily, whether it's, raining, snowing. I mean, it's different all the time. So I don't even mind doing my dishes. I also looked high and low for a rug to put in the kitchen. And I went into Pendleton shop in Jackson Hole. And the Pendleton shop, I mean, if you think quintessential Western, Pendleton is one of those things that comes to my mind. So I went in there and I just found something that had a little bit of the red and a little bit of the black, which is what I was trying to bring out in each room. So I think it works perfect in the kitchen. All right, so I'm gonna take you here to the room that I get most of my rest, and that is Bob's and my bedroom. So follow me. So, as I said, everything in the house was gray, and that to me, I think what's really big right now in new construction is this kind of mountain modern look. It's a very sleek, and it's beautiful for what it is, but for me, I wanted something cozy, warm, homey, and that meant a lot of textures, hides, furs. So we took out everything in the house, sent it to a consignment shop, and over time, in different stores and consignment stores, we were able to layer and do what we wanted in the house, which has been so much fun to make it how our home would be. Well, the home away from home, and for my kids to feel comfortable and me. I mean, you want to just throw your feet up, get a book and a blanket, and have a cup of tea. So especially when you look outside and the snow's falling down, and it's just really wonderful. So the purpose of this house when we moved here was to give us peace and rest. And this room epitomizes that for me. As I said earlier, everything was gray. Even the headboards were gray when we moved in. And we got rid of all of that and found this fabulous picture of aspen. And aspen are my very favorite trees. Actually, on my mom's grave, we planted aspen. And so it means a lot to me. We then found, I love crisp white bedding, but again, texture. So we got this fur blanket, and I'll tell you what, I have stayed in enough Airbnbs or people's homes where the touches that make the difference. And a friend of mine who has a home out in California, we were staying in their guest bed, and I swung my feet out of the bed onto this fur little just section of rug on the floor. It made my entire, I won't say it made my day, but to start your day off, it felt luxurious. And so I went into the Overland store in Jackson, and sure enough, they had one very similar. So it just sits on the side of my bed, and it just brings me joy when I wake up in the morning. So I then found, again, another rug at a consignment place, and it went with the muted tones. I had found this vintage rocking chair. These are all old leather straps. And I put a hide on it, but again, it's just something very, very different. And then I found this fox, and I just thought all the colors worked. These lamps in the same consignment shop. And I have to tell you, I love these lamps. I mean, they are funky, but they are fun. And that section over there was in that same vintage store, and I found that very quiet gray lamp. There's something about lighting in rooms, and so in the evenings here we don't use the overhead lighting. I use lamps all over the house, and it just makes everything even cozier. There's a few different guest rooms, and here is one of them. And again, my whole focus was warmth. Here's a bed we found at that same consignment place. Just different. It doesn't look like something we would find in Pennsylvania in our home. And again, hides. Here we have the aspen in the fall, so there's a little more gold yellow tones. So I found a hide that had that same, the kind of the camel look here on the ground. But again, each one of these things, even this fun lamp, was found in a great consignment place in Jackson. In each of our rooms, we've kind of gone with a different theme because we want to name the rooms. We've named them, but we haven't had the metal plates made. But this was going to be the aspen room. Then next over is the buffalo room or the bison room. We haven't decided which one we want to call it. Then we've got the bunkhouse room, and we have the ski room. So it's just fun to kind of thematically figure out what you want that particular room to represent. Here's the bison room. And again, I mean, lampshades provide detail, right? This lampshade, it's got the, cowhide along here. It's just different. Here we've got fur on these pillows and a different texture here. And I mean, come on, look at these these throws or blankets. The dimension, what they add, they're heavy. They make you feel like you're in one of those old Western movies. And then on the floor, obviously, we've got another hide, and then our bison. So whether we're going to name it the Buffalo or the Bison Room, I haven't decided. The fun thing about having guests is you get to be creative depending on who's coming. And whether it's obviously the cookies that I make back home, we make here. My daughter Audrey and I are going to make a whole bunch of those tonight. But to have a tray for whatever guests come, and with water, I think particularly in the elevation, people have to stay hydrated. So it's important to have bottles of water. It's important to have snacks of every kind. And people think they feel like they were thought of before they even came, and that's the whole purpose of it. So many fun things and fun memories about Driggs, and I think that that's also a connection for our kids. When we first started coming in, I'm going to let Bob tell this story, but one of the things we used to take the kids for over the holidays is a horse-drawn sleigh ride to a yurt. That's actually how we ended up with our barn at home, but I'll let you.
So this happens at the base of the mountain up in Grand Targhee. It doesn't happen anymore, but Paul, just an amazing salt-of-the-earth gentleman, would pull up in front of the lodge, and you would get on a horse-drawn sleigh, and he'd take you out to a yurt and have this meal that was just unbelievable. It's just very rustic but great. And so we get home after our vacation, and Ruth goes, "I would love a yurt." And so I did a little research, and I went, "A yurt is going to cost like $100,000. We might as well build a barn."
I don't know that it was $100,000.
Or maybe $40,000.
Yeah, and you were like, "I might as well build you a barn."
And you went, "Oh, I didn't know that was an option."
I didn't know that was an option. And so that's how we ended up with the barn at home. We flipped another house and built that barn.
But on top of that, so what we've also done is there's a place in town called Lynn Canyon Ranch where there's a horse-drawn sleigh that you go through a bunch of wild horses, and then you have dinner there afterwards. Yeah. We've done dog sledding here at Grand Targhee, and there's also a place north of Jackson that we've
North
gone.
of Jackson, up towards Yellowstone on that side,
Yes.
is a big dog sledding day, and there's snowmobiling. And there's so many fun places along the way. I have one of my favorite little restaurants right there in Victor. It's called Butter. I mean, you drive past it and the whole building is yellow, and it's called Butter. It was like it was made for me. In fact, we walked in and they had t-shirts that said Butter. So my whole family bought me one of their t-shirts. And so there's just those things. And in Jackson Hole, there are certain restaurants we always visit that we'll be taking you by to. But it's just to have that kind of history with your kids is just a really special thing as well. All right, if you follow me downstairs, I'm going to take you to the land of fun. So here's maybe the kids' favorite place. I mean, if the kitchen were attached, it would definitely be, but it's the kids' hangout place. So we've got a pool table. It also turns into a ping pong table. And I mean, what playroom is not complete without a Pac-Man machine? So you can sit here and play Pac-Man to your heart's delight. Let me show you the theater next, which is attached to this, which literally your kids will disappear for hours. You're going to have to come find them. This room is so much fun for so many reasons, besides being able to watch any movie, sporting event on the wall. I mean, you could even fall asleep on one of these love sacks. So you have your choice. You've got the chairs that tilt back and you can sleep, or you've got the love sacks. And I found this really fun table at one of those vintage places that I was speaking of. It's not often that you get a house that has its own movie room. This was here. In fact, the chair, the stadium seating, so there's different levels for all of the chairs. All of that was here. I mean, my kids walked in here and they were like, I mean, just get the house for this. So it's so much fun because everybody gets to be there and everybody gets to be comfortable. In the living room, everybody can't lay down and watch a movie, but in here you can. So it's just great. We watch every single thing you can imagine, from Die Hard to Miracle on 34th Street, White Christmas. Our winter holidays are filled with, the skiing all day, the big pots of soup, playing games, get in the hot tub, sit by the fire pit, and end up here at the end of the night. What's fascinating is because we put a screen in our house at home, a screen that actually comes down in our basement. So I thought that's what this was. So I came up being very careful, thinking I was touching a screen. This is the wall. It's been framed out and painted. It's amazing because when you watch a movie, you would not know that. It looks perfect like a screen. So food for thought if you want to put one in your own house. What's a mountain house without a bunk room where all the kids get to have their own slumber party? Let me show you. I actually love a good bunk room. You can make them a little whimsical and a little more fun. So we've put on the walls the Grand Targhee Ski Resort. So the kids, this is the Jackson Hole, that's the Big Sky, Montana, and this is Grand Targhee. So you can see where you've been skiing all day. And then we did some bunk beds that were already here, but they're double beds on the bottom, which is so nice because 2 people can sleep on the bottom and then a single person on the top. And again, another hide on the ground. And I had to bring some of my own blankets from home that I had designed. We've got the plaid and we have the Swiss cross. My kids were like, Mom, bring a little bit of home to our new house. So bunk rooms are so much fun because you can remember being a kid yourself and getting the opportunity to be in a bunk room with all your cousins. So this house, when you look at it from the outside, you would not know it could house all of us. And it gives us so much room to grow. It's the perfect size for our family and for a few guests. So it's just been a gift from God. So my favorite thing about coming up here is, and I think my kids would all agree, we unplug in a way that we've never done on a vacation before. You know, ordinarily we were staying in someone else's condo or we were staying with cousins, you know, which is all fun, but there's something about the peacefulness. There's meadows behind it. There's a mountain range on this side. The Tetons are right behind our house on this side. We have the most spectacular view of the Tetons from here. And so there's just something that makes you forget about everything going on in real life.
And I will say this is that Ruth has done an amazing job of decorating this place and making it a home. So my kids, when they come out here, it's cozy, it's relaxing, it's enjoyable. They feel like they're at home, just a home away from home. And so, but there's not the attachment to a home. It's like a clean slate with regards to the kids and interacting with one another because you are on vacation or we're here for a few weeks or whatever the case may be. So it just creates an incredible atmosphere for the family. I personally just love it because I can rest, enjoy skiing during the winter or do hiking during the summer.
We're just 15 minutes up the hill to the ski resort. So we're able to run the kids up or go up ourselves and ski just, half a day or a whole day. And I can be down here making soups and pies for when they come home. So it's just something that we never dreamt that we would be able to do. And even to be able to offer other people the opportunity to through Airbnb, so.
Yeah.
So let's go back upstairs. I want to make some amazing homemade hot chocolate for Bob and Audrey for when they get home and they can sit out by the fire. So let me show you how. All right, when you finish a long day of skiing or snowmobiling or whatever you're doing out there in the cold, the one thing everybody wants universally is hot chocolate. And we used to have the packets, but I tell you what, there is nothing like homemade hot chocolate. So I thought I'd walk you through how we do it. First of all, take 4 cups of milk. Now, I use a whole milk. You can also use 2%, but pour 4 cups of that in there. To that, you want to do a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa and a 1/4 cup of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. Here we go. Let me just pour that in there. And I'm going to stir this for a minute before we add the chocolate chips. And now with the chocolate chips, you can, again, depending on how sweet you like this, you can do semi-sweet chocolate chips or you can do bittersweet. But you go ahead and stir this. Now, I will say, don't let it burn. So you don't want this getting to a rapid boil. So maybe low to medium heat, just enough for all of it to incorporate. Now I'm going to add 1/2 cup of, I'm using semi-sweet chocolate chips. Just mix that in. Those are going to melt. Oh my gosh, they are going to be so excited when they get back from skiing to think Mom thought of this already. And since there's such a small group of us, I'm gonna keep it really simple. You know, it's fun. You can do all sorts of things. I've had kids crush up candy canes and put candy canes in it. We've made homemade whipped cream for it, or you can just, you know, do your Cool Whip or your can of whipped cream. Either way, everybody loves to grab a mug of this before they go out to the fire pit. And again, don't do it too hot. The chocolate chips will burn, and you do not want that. Something else that you can serve this with, my Ruth's Barely Baked cookies, we always have frozen dough balls in the freezer, and we cook those. Or you can do the compost cookies, or another fan favorite, which is in the cookbook, is the shortbread. It doesn't matter. Choose a fun, warm cookie to serve with these, and your family, I mean, they're gonna know they're on vacation. I'm gonna make my own cup for now. And it's fun, when our kids, when we moved here, or when we got this place, we let everyone choose their own mug from a local place, so everyone has their own color. And it's just kind of fun because you know, that's the one I want, that's the one I want. And it's a fun little tradition. Again, hosting people or even hosting your own family, I think is taking that one extra step to show them how much you love them or you're thinking about them. Oftentimes we don't take the time to do this at home. And so I encourage you, even if you are at home, take the extra step. What, did this take me not even 5 minutes? And yet I promise you the taste is worth every single minute that it took. Audrey and Bob, I'm guessing will be coming home from the slopes. I think they close in about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna keep this warm. They're gonna love it and they're gonna love me for it. And then stay tuned because we are gonna show you some of my very favorite places in both Driggs, Victor, and finally Jackson Hole. All right, here comes the fun stuff. We're heading into Jackson Hole, and I can't wait to show you some of our very favorite places that we hit every time we come here. And the first will be a breakfast place. So right here, we're getting ready to enter the town of Driggs, which is the town that basically services Grand Targhee, which is the ski resort that we go to. And it's a one-light town, but I'll tell you, there are so many amazing hidden gems here. It feels untouched. It's not a ski resort town per se, and yet you have access to Jackson Hole, which is. So it takes you back into time in a Western town. So it's amazing with the clouds that have dropped because we've had snow in the last couple of days. There are mountain ranges all the way around us, and you cannot see them because of how low the clouds are. So we're reaching the top of the pass, and you'll see all these cars lined up, but you'll also see possibly hikers hiking up because people hike up and ski backcountry all the way down. So that's what all these people, there's no lifts up here. They're just free-forming it down the mountain. So when Bob and I go into new cities, we always try to find where do the locals eat. And ever since we started coming to Jackson Hole, we come to this little breakfast place called Nora's. And it's just fantastic. It's kind of, I don't know, I think what we've heard is it's where the millionaires are sitting next to the cowboys and you can't tell the difference. And we love that. But they're just known for just their hearty fare. So we're gonna try to get in there and have a bite to eat. All right, we've just come down the pass and we're entering Wilson, which is right on the outskirts of Jackson Hole, and that's where Nora's is. And the fun thing about Nora's, it's won the James Beard Award, and it was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. So it was featured on that show as well, and we are gonna pull in right now and give you a little treat. Nora's Fish Creek Inn. All right, another breakfast, great breakfast in the books on our way to Jackson Hole, where we'll show you some of our favorite places. Jackson Hole is a great mixture of everything from Western wear to high fashion, to jewelry, boots, you name it. I mean, the restaurants are fantastic. There's a sweet little tea shop we go to called Persephone's up on that direction. And after I show you the archways, we're gonna head to my favorite clothing consignment place, because again, they take the old high-end Western gear and you never know what you're gonna find. So we'll check that out as soon as I show you the archways. So these archways have a really fun story. I mean, they're gorgeous. And first of all, at nighttime, they are lit with little white lights. It's beautiful. And they're on the four corners of this square. Well, back in, I think it was in the 50s, so the elk shed their antlers every single year. And the Boy Scouts used to go collect them. And that's when they started to build these. The Boy Scouts would collect them. They built their first archway, and about 10 years later, because it was such a hit, they did the other 3 archways. So it's just a beautiful entry and kind of a, everyone knows it as Jackson Hole. And now on to Women Folk, my favorite women's consignment shop. So it's a little off the beaten path. It's called Women Folk, and we never leave here empty-handed. How cool is that? I mean, you never know what you're gonna find in here. I mean, awesome. Everything in here from vintage Ralph Lauren to vintage Valentino. Oh, that one's pretty. We never leave empty-handed. Thank you so much for joining us at our home away from home. We're heading to the slopes right now. We'll see you back at Hillside Farm.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.